How did you first get into mathematics?
Think there's so many different ways in, and I was one of the people, which is definitely not universal in math, who was into it from the time when I was a little kid. And one thing I always remember, I don't know if this was like the initial incident, but it's something I remember from being pretty small. Now we got to go back to the 70s, okay? Because I'm a little kid. And so if it's the 70s, your stereo is kind of encased in like a fake wood, and it had like a sort of array of holes in it, in front of the speaker so that the sound could come out into the room. And those holes were in a sort of like a rectangular array, like a sort of 6x8 array of holes. And I remember just kind of like lying on the carpet and like looking at that speaker and being like, well, okay, so there's 6 rows of 8 holes each, but there's also 8 columns of 6 holes each, depending on how you look at it. And like my mind was absolutely blown because I was like, oh, so 6 eighths is the same as 8 sixes. Because like, look, there they are. It's like 2 ways of describing the same 8x6 box. So I mean, I think I was old enough that I knew my times tables, and I knew that like 6 times 8 was the same as 8 times 6, because when they taught you the times table, they sort of taught you that fact. But I think I thought it was just like a fact somebody told you. And the realization that that was not just like a fact that somebody told you, that was like the way the world is. It like has to be that way. 8 sixes are the same as 6 eights because like there they are. That was like extremely mind-blowing. And I think that's what's so special about what math has to offer, especially in a classroom setting where, everything else in school on some level, you're taking it for granted. You're taking it, something happened in history. Well, how do you know that? Because the book says that happened. And like, hopefully we trust that that was passed down by people who directly observed it and wrote it down, blah, 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 blah. But on some level, it's on trust. Math is different. Like math, you don't actually have to trust your teacher or the book. Like you can actually like encounter and interact and create that knowledge for yourself, like once you learn how to do it, which makes it very special and very powerful.